What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Coffeez for Closers. Today, we have a true great. Meet the force behind Change Wholesale success, the Vice President with over 2 decades in finance. He's reshaped mortgage accessibility and enhanced broker partnerships nationwide, significantly boosting the company's market presence and client relationships. This key figure is none other than the VP of Change Wholesale, Mr. Tan Karim. Welcome to the show, Tan.
Thanks for having me. Been watching this for a few months now, and I've always wondered when I'd get the opportunity to be here, so thank you.
Man, it's a blessing to have you, and, we have to save the greats. We got to save the greats. So I'm blessed to have you on the show, and it's an honor to have you here. It's also been an honor to work with you, and you continue to be really a pillar for a lot of these guys at eMortgage Capital to continue to grow with them in their success and their, in beginning in the mortgage industry, because you've really been a pillar of mentorship for many people here at EMC, and you always are willing to go above and beyond for these guys, not just at eMortgage Capital, but for many folks in the mortgage industry across the board. So we appreciate you, your hard work, your perseverance, and your relentlessness in seeing a deal get done. So thank you.
Thank you.
So I like to start these podcasts off with a couple of icebreakers. So the first one is, how do you like to start your morning?
Well, I'm not as early of a riser as you, but I do like to wake up in the morning. The first thing I do is obviously check my emails. I have a lot of brokers that I work with on the East Coast, and sometimes I do have my Hawaii brokers that are emailing me late at night that I might have fallen asleep and didn't get a chance to. So I do like to make sure I don't leave anyone unattended. So first things first, I always make sure that I'm answering everything I missed overnight or early in the morning. That's one of the things that I've always prided myself on, is not to ever miss a phone call or an email. And if I do, I want to get back to them within minutes. That's my go-to rule every single time.
I love that. Prioritizing your people.
Anyone hanging, that's my rule. So that's what I do. I start off doing that, and then I begin my regimen of drinking coffee, getting something in my body, getting some fuel in there. And I don't go into the office right away. I stay at home for a while. I'll be outside, take a walk. I answer all my calls while I'm walking around, just getting some blood moving. And then I begin my day, probably getting out of the house probably by 9:30ish and heading into the office. I don't always go into the office. I'd like to be on the road a lot, going from broker to broker, coming here, whatever, I'm always on the road, no matter what. That's my rule. Lunches, dinners, whatever I have to do. I don't like being stationary for too long. And as anyone that's listening to this podcast that has talked to me, they always know that I'm always in the car when they call me. They're like always apologizing. I'm like, don't apologize. Go ahead, let's chat. And I'll figure it out. I'll pull over, figure out a scenario for them, price it out, whatever I have to do. But I'm always on the go, nonstop till dinner time. And dinner is usually fairly late for me because I'm always coming back from LA or somewhere, stuck in traffic.
Even dinners, I call you, you're answering.
Yeah, I always step away, unless I'm with you.
Yeah.
And everyone understands, family, friends, they always understand what's going on. And I'm fairly good at keeping it quick, but I will always step away and take your call if you call me.
Guys, if you're listening, this is a man of relentless hustle. If you want a key to success, just listen to what he's doing. It's very, very simple. You don't get to live in Newport Beach and own a beautiful home and, have the life that you have just by sitting back, kicking your feet up.
Yeah, blessed to be your neighbor as well. Yeah, it is a very good life, especially living here, and it does take a lot of work, hard work, and having good habits to be able to sustain a lifestyle here and keep growing.
Especially coming to Newport Beach as immigrant families, you're
I'm first generation. Yeah.
First generation. Yeah.
My parents came here from Bangladesh.
Bangladesh.
My dad landed in New York City back in the 60s and started as a cab driver, put himself through school, became an engineer, and moved out to California to work for Hughes Aircraft. And this is where I was born.
You were born in Fullerton?
He actually worked in Fullerton. I was born at St. Joseph's in Orange. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, from one immigrant family to another, I get it. That we understand the hustle.
Yeah.
We understand the hustle. Seeing our dads just grind like that.
Yeah, he's still going. He owns a small little property management company in his 80s, still going.
My dad too. Every single day, still going.
Collecting rent in the Inland Empire. It's not easy for an older Indian guy, but he does it. Keeps it going.
God bless him. Yeah, exactly. So, what year did you get started in the mortgage industry?
I would say this is 2000.
2000.
Okay.
So you're going on 24 years in the space.
I was at UC Riverside at the time. There was an advertisement in the dorm rooms for $10 an hour telemarketing. Didn't say doing what. It just said $10 an hour.
That was a lot of money back then.
Money for a kid back then, especially college kids. I was 18 at the time. And so we answered the call, and it was a 949 number. So we had to drive out to Irvine from Riverside, and it was at Sky Park Circle, not too far from here.
Yeah, that's one of our first offices are over there.
I was in one of those little warehouses in the back. They built cubicles in there, and that's how it started. And I just got on the phone, and there was we used Point, and I learned how to use Point by myself, just by doing that. $10 an hour.
Nice. Been in the space for a while. Yeah. So last 20 years in the space, and what do you think? Because you've seen multiple crashes. Like, what do you think the biggest change has been for you so far?
Great question. So obviously I went through most of the ups and downs. I started in consumer direct, worked for banks, including Pacific Mercantile and Bank of California in their retail divisions where everything was self-generated. Moved over to wholesale back in 2019. So obviously the biggest change has been that shift, going from retail, being on one side of the wall to the other, and becoming a wholesale rep was the biggest change. It was a change I welcomed. I did want to try it out and see what it was like to be on this side. Especially being in banking, you don't really get to see what's really out there. You're kind of cocooned, and you don't really know what other programs are out there. You're selling what the bank gives you, and that's it. And there's so much out there, especially going into 2017 and 18. Non-QM really started blossoming. A lot of new lenders were popping up, and I didn't want to be constrained by just doing the Fannie Freddie conforming Ginnie FHA stuff. I wanted to really make a difference, not only for my borrowers, for my referral partners, but for myself too. Being able to have a huge, array of products to offer, and actually learn about. That was another thing. It's a big learning curve, going from understanding, reading a DU, reading full tax returns, now throwing all of that away. I could read tax returns like no other, but then really truly understanding how to qualify people on bank statements and asset qualifying and all the other goodies that
huge shift. Yeah. Huge shift, man. So that's a two-pronged question I got. First off is, because you're Indian, you're an immigrant, like, how did your family take it when you said, I'm just going to go into mortgage? I'm not going to be a doctor.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be an engineer, Dad.
So
I'm going to be in the mortgage industry. They're like, what the hell is that?
Yeah, if they're going to watch this, they're going to laugh, and so are my sisters, because it was a really big deal, because I was the first son, and there was a lot of so I'm a college dropout, number one. So that's a huge no-no in our culture, and anyone can attest to that knows. So that was a big deal. Both of my younger sisters graduated college. So my mom, to this day, in my 40s, she'll ask me if I'm going to be going back. I promise you, this weekend on Mother's Day, she will ask me, do you have any extra time? Maybe you can go to night school or something like that. So it's a really big deal. I mean, I can tell that they're proud of me. I've lived we've all lived a good life over the last 20 years. I've been able to take my parents on vacations and do all kinds of things for them because.
But you didn't get your degree, so thus
my mom would probably trade most of that away to see me walk down the
aisle. In your 40s, 50s, 60s, doesn't matter.
Even if I wheel myself down the stage in a wheelchair, yeah, she'll be happy. So that is something I have to kind of. To tell her that, I don't think that's going to happen any longer. I'm out of my 30s, but that was a very big part of our family. But they're still proud. I can see that. Yeah,
that's good. Yeah, because I did finish college, but I dropped out of grad school, so it's always like, you sure you don't want to be a doctor? Like, you sure you're not going to just go, finish your law degree? Like, no, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
I'm sold on that. But yeah, for immigrant families, they hold education at a level where most folks who aren't immigrants won't really understand. Like, man, immigrant parents really really want you to be an esteemed student. So, right, like right now, can you tell us like the most like pivotal moment in your career that really reshaped your career?
Oh, no, hands down, 2008.
2008?
I was in my 20s. I was relatively young compared to some of the other guys that really lost everything during the crash. But it was eye-opening because I was
25, 26 years old.
I was living up in LA. You really didn't understand the gravity of the situation until it truly, like a few months into it, when the money wasn't coming in anymore, and you're like, wait a minute. Well, when does it restart again? There was a few times in the mid 2000s, rates kind of were fluctuating, things slowed down, but I truly didn't grasp it for a few months into it when I realized that the music truly stopped, and so and this probably speaks to a lot of people. They really truly changed the way they looked at money, the way they looked at their expenses. Loan officers, originators had a lot of bad habits. They still do to this day, some of them, but a lot of them, there was a lot of bad habits back then. And you could see it when you were around Newport Beach or Orange County and how people were spending so freely. So I would say that taught me a lot about, being a little more responsible. With the way you go day to day, and realizing that things could end, and making the right choices on making sure that you can keep going even if things slow down.
Did you lose your house during 2008 too?
Yeah.
Me too, man. 2008 killed me.
Yeah,
I was just like you, 25 years old, owned a house in Newport Beach, and I thought it would never end.
Yeah, it's same here. It made no sense to me. So, and I did a lot, and I probably. In 2007, I did take some money that I saved, and I kind of traveled alone. I backpacked around Europe. And I thought about it. I read a lot. I read about what happened, how it happened, what a CDO was, what an MBS was. I had no idea. For 7 years I worked in retail. I had no idea what happened to these loans and what a Fannie Mae bond was. So I truly didn't understand how capital markets worked or anything like that. So I did a lot of reading, and I learned a lot about the business during that downturn. And then got back into mortgages in 2010. And I'm still with that same crew today, the same core group of people that kind of banded back together and started again.
I love that you're with Change, because Change is such a dynamic company. It is so different than all the rest of the lenders that we work with. And for those listening today, guys, we are going to make an official announcement as to a major product enhancement and a new product that's come out back into the mortgage marketplace that I think, for me, it's always been integral in my production. About 20-25% of my production has been just this one product. And I think it's going to be a game changer with what we're going to announce today. And we're going to continue to kind of like remind people of this major enhancement. But this is a game changer for anyone who does loans. But I want to ask you, like, because for someone to join a company that's a non-QM only company and go, I'm going all in on non-QM, I just want to ask you, the hell were you thinking back then? It's like, It was such a new space.
Yeah.
Like nobody knew about it. It could have totally it was really like buying an alternative cryptocurrency or something. Like that's really what the sentiment was about non-QM at the time. You had no idea it would be this big now.
Yeah.
So what were you thinking?
I would have never done made the move in 2018 into 19 coming to Change without there's a certain key people that started this and came over at that same time. So we all kind of came together almost at the same time. If they didn't come, I probably wouldn't have had the belief that this was going to work. I truly believed that this was going to work, and it was just a matter of how long it would take. When I came over, we had no doubts in our mind because of who we surrounded ourselves with. We had the right people at the right places. It was very small at the time, tiny. I mean, we were in one small little office in Irvine, about 50 of us, and we grew to well over 1,500 employees within a 18-month period. So it was tremendous growth, which was scary at times, but like I said, without being with a certain group of people, with the core group at Change, I would have never came over, nor would it have even worked out.
So there was 50 when you started.
Yeah, give or take.
What
Yeah,
employee number were you?
I was the second wholesale guy to come in. There was one other, so there's about 5 of us that kind of came around the same month. But yeah, I was number 2.
Wow.
Yeah,
Second person.
yeah.
Man, what growth have you guys seen? But now in the last year, you've seen some suppression, obviously, since
Yeah.
you lost that major product. How much suppression? I mean, how much compression have you guys seen?
Well, we grew to become the number one non-QM lender in the nation in 2022. So we were doing about roughly $6 billion a year. And then the rate started obviously contracting and business along with it. So we did come back down to, roughly about $1 billion last year because of everything we went through, and it's not just us. The whole entire non-QM industry,
Space,
the space has been really trying to figure out, the liquidity issues that investors are going through. Margins are so thin right now. It's really hard to make a buck right now. Securitizing these loans are extremely expensive, extremely capital intensive. So there's so many moving parts in these non-QM companies that one thing knocks down and the whole thing can fall apart. So it's really hard to keep these, stay afloat and also be competitive and also give customer service to companies like EMC. So you have to be able to keep the talent, pay the talent, originate these loans at a decent cost, pay all of your ops employees, then figure out a way to sell these loans or securitize them and make some money. So it is... I would never want to own one personally because it would totally, completely just take over my life and I wouldn't know what to do. It's good to be a part of a group that knows what they're doing and can stay afloat in times like this. And then also come out with reintroduce some products and be creative, once we get out of the big waves.
Yeah, which I think we're pretty much at the end of the big waves right now.
I do too. There is light at the end of the tunnel. We're reintroducing new programs. And reintroducing old programs from 2 years ago with very, very the guidelines are very competitive once again. So we're back to where we were, I believe, right before COVID. The way our company
Amazing. Let's not drop the news right now. We'll announce it here in a minute. I want to do it. We're going to continue to build up to that moment just to keep everybody listening and involved because we want to drop this on them and make sure that they take action immediately. Now. For first-time home buyers listening to this, how can they leverage non-QM programs, changes programs, and take advantage of some of the things that you guys are offering?
Yeah. So first-time home buyers are a little different the way I view them are a little different than I used to back in the days. It's usually when I think of a first-time home buyer, it's going to be somebody that's going to go probably FHA. They have a very minimal down payment, maybe 5%.
Let's say they don't meet the normal FHA guidelines. Yeah. That's why they're coming to Change.
First-time homebuyers are a lot different these days. A lot of them are, they don't have regular wage-earning jobs. They're younger. They're doing,
They're doing YouTube. They're doing Bitcoin. Exactly. They're doing...
There's so many things that they're doing these days, and the first-time homebuyer age has been dropping consistently over the last 10 years.
That just goes on a first-time homebuyer who's 18. Yep. He was a YouTuber, but
yeah, and they're doing great. And typically you would never think somebody that young would want to own a home, but now they're like, they want a place where they can relax and have fun, and they want to make it their own. They design it themselves. It's kind of a thing now.
Financial literacy is a thing too. Content is like just financial literacy content's all over TikTok and Instagram, and
kids are a lot smarter today.
Yeah.
So that's what we're here. We are here for borrowers like that. It's not going to be your typical borrower. We want to do loans for guys that are out there hustling, that have side hustles, that have 2 or 3 different streams of income, that really have good CPAs too, that don't, that help them, shield themselves from tax liability. So that's what we do. We will do bank statement loans utilizing personal bank statements, and that's it. You don't need anything else. We won't have an expense factor. We know you have money coming in. We know what you're doing with it. That's enough for us. 12 months of personal bank statements and nothing else. No one else does that, and it makes life a lot easier for originators and for your borrower and us. Everybody's happy. So things like that are what we're trying to make it easy, simple, and use a little more common sense than everyone else. And I can promise you that our chief credit officer and all of management, that's all we do is we bang our heads trying to figure out how can we make it easier to do a loan, not so somebody can commit fraud, but so we can do a loan that's safe, sound, secure, and that we can sell to the secondary market at a profit. That's all we think about all day long.
I love that. And you're also, making these kids' dreams come true, or making these people who thought they would never get a mortgage come true. And it's such a blessing to be a part of something like that, because most of these people that come to Change are like hopeless, right? You're basically instilling or reinstilling some hope in them, the American dream for them.
Yeah. A lot of our loans do come to us after being out somewhere else for several weeks, so we are seeing a lot of loans that have been to 2 different lenders, have been turned down, and we look at it like, okay, we can definitely do this. So I don't like to be the lender of second or third choice, but you know what, that's fine. If I can make somebody happy and we have a successful closing at in a great time frame, then everyone wins. That's fine.
How about DSCR, the investor portfolio products? How aggressive are those products in comparison to all the other non-QM investors out there?
We are very good at DSCRs. Our pricing is what makes it really good, because the most important thing of a investment property is obviously your cap rate and the cash flow coming into a property. The lower the rate, the lower the cost of the loan, the happier the borrower is going to be. I would say probably about 50% of our volume today is coming from investment properties, but not just DSCR. We do allow investment properties utilizing bank statement loans and our new P&L loan that we just launched about 2 months ago.
Nice. That P&L loan, you want to just summarize that real quick?
So the cool thing about our P&L loan is we don't need bank statements to coincide with the P&L loan. So a lot of lenders will say, yeah, we'll take your profit and loss statement. It needs to be signed by a CPA, but we also need you to give us 2 to 3 months of bank statements so we can make sure that the deposits kind of match what the P&L shows. Well, not everybody has all their money going into these specific accounts. They have them going all over the place. So we will take a P&L that doesn't have a bank statement coinciding with it, which makes everyone's life easy.
Yeah, it makes it much easier to underwrite as well.
Yep.
So, you're so busy all the time with running this all of Change Wholesale's wholesale department. How do you manage to balance this super high powered career and just having a personal life with your daughter, with your wife?
It's been a challenge here and there. I did, during the last 18 months as rates dropped, I did have a little more free time. I was able to kind of step out and, have weekends and maybe take a trip, here and there. So I do travel. I try to make sure I travel at least once a quarter. Because I do need a reset here and there, because I literally I'm literally having dreams all night of numbers and waking up and thinking about volume, and so it is nice to be able to reset. So I do almost force myself to make sure I have a good time at least once a quarter and get out, go to Mexico, or maybe I'll go to Europe, for a few days. So I do make sure I do give some time to everybody. I just got back from Tahoe last week from my with my daughter. We did a little father-daughter Tahoe trip, so that was cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm planning a father-daughter trip with my daughter coming up here soon. Now, that actually puts me into my next question. Like, when you're not crunching numbers, and dreaming about how to put difficult loans together, like, how do you like to unwind?
Good question. We live in Newport Beach, so we're blessed to be able to live here. And so I do spend an inordinate amount of time being on the beach. I will actually walk near the peninsula, take a long walk, and I will literally just make phone calls and work from my phone during a 2 to 3 hour or 2 to 3 mile walk. So I spend a lot of time at the beach, whether it be at Corona Del Mar or somewhere on the peninsula. I spend a lot of time out there.
Nice.
That relaxes me, it really does. And then I'll come home and, have dinner and stuff. So now I'm always happy at that point.
Yeah. I like to do the same thing, actually. I'll do a couple mile walk with the dog and just hit a bunch of phone calls.
Yeah, it's the best. Yeah.
It's just like to unwind, go walk around the beach. It's like, weather's beautiful, and, what more can you ask for? Yep. Yeah, that's good to know. So let me ask you this. How do you, what's the secret sauce to continuing to really grow the wholesale channel for Change, like to continue to grow the partnerships, to continue to really enhance these relationships?
So I feel we do things a little differently than a lot of wholesale lenders. A lot of wholesale lenders will have like some sort of call center where they'll have like inside reps, and it's almost there's the personal service is not always there, especially if you're a newer broker or maybe you're a 3 to 5 man shop. Your volume is fairly low. It's really hard to get a certain level of service sometimes. One of the things I like doing is, see, EMC's always been pretty big, although I've seen you guys grow tremendously over the last 5 years. I do have quite a few of the smaller one-man shops, and I try to help them grow.
Those one-man shops should just become EMC. That's like you'd be doing. You're not doing them any service, not telling them to come here. You should tell them.
I do start that. I'll become one of your best recruiters. But I do like helping people grow. So what I'll do is I'll explain to them and teach them and maybe talk to them about how I see other successful originators from other, brands. What are they doing? Because there's plenty of business, especially non-QM business, for all of us to succeed.
Become a consultant for these smaller shops.
There's a few that I've spoken to where I'm like, they're never going to, they're just going to do what they do. That's fine. But there's guys out there that are very eager to learn, and I like helping them grow. And how, a lot of people are really stuck in the model of just finding loans that are going to go only to UWM or Rocket or whatever it might be. And that's it. They're comfortable. They're happy. They're making good money. And then there's guys out there that are like, hey, listen, I'm tired of this up and down. Maybe I can get another source of income from, self-employed people that are going through divorces, people that need hard money takeout loans. Where do I go find people like that? And I'll help them understand where to market, how to market, who to reach out to, and what to look out for. And once they're able to identify and create a new stream of leads, then I'll help them understand the loan and go from there. Because getting somebody in the door is one thing, closing the loan is another, and you have to be able to do everything very efficiently.
That's awesome. Let me ask you, how do you think Change has streamlined the process of non-QM in comparison to other investors?
Well, our main product, the community mortgage, is as streamlined as you can get with the least amount of paperwork as you can get. So that's what we lead by. And I've always taught processors, loan officers, brokers, you name it, the waterfall test. If your borrower doesn't qualify here, you have to be able to quickly understand if they qualify here, or finally come to the community mortgage. We're right there, but there are other loans along the way that maybe you could see if they qualify for, and you have to do it very quickly.
I like the waterfall test.
Yeah.
I've never put it in that context.
I teach everybody that. That's my number one thing. Every time I do a Zoom presentation, I teach them, don't go straight to the community mortgage.
Yeah.
Start off here. Take a few minutes to figure out if they go here. No, bank statement loan, a P&L loan. What do they, and then get to the end, and then you can do the community mortgage. We should be a one-stop shop for every single one of those rocks on the waterfall.
That's a great way to kind of, to paint that imagery, and I'm gonna tell my design team just to put that into like more of an image where I can teach that to folks a little bit easier, or even explain it as a flyer to your consumer, because it just makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Like, are you going the conventional route? You going the bank statement route? You going the P&L route? You going the no documentation route? You going the hard money route?
Yeah. And it should only take a few minutes to really understand and identify where your borrower falls on that fall test.
Yeah.
And I've lived that for 5 years, teaching everybody that, and even myself too, trying to perfect my pitch to brokers on why they should use Change. And we don't want to be a one-trick pony that only does loans with no income. I want to be able to be the guy that you think of when you have a doctor or a dentist that has his own practice that is very rate sensitive and doesn't want that rate, but he wants to be able to get something closer to what you can get at, Wells Fargo Private. So we have jumbo bank statement loans and P&L loans that are like that.
We don't actually know you for those loans. We know you for the waterfall, the bottom of the waterfall, right where it hits. We want to reintroduce you guys as, to be on the entire kind of like landscape, not at the very top of the waterfall, but just as
Start
we kind
of on level 2 and then work.
Because what you're known as, I think, throughout the community is the bottom of the waterfall, and that's what really hindered Change's growth, obviously in 2023. But this is what we're going to be talking about now. Actually, let's go ahead. We've been talking about the changes, and the reason why, guys, I have Tan on the show today is to reintroduce a product that has been really a big part of my personal success as a mortgage broker. This product, we lost it, and they reintroduced it in the beginning of the year, and it wasn't very sexy, but it started to reignite some business. But as of today, live today, right now, on this show, today, no documentation is back. And it's back better than ever. Let's talk about the guidelines.
Thank you. Yeah. So the community mortgage was reintroduced several months ago, and it required, it's a great loan, don't get me wrong, and we still did bring in loans with the original guidelines from the beginning of the year, but it required 18 to 24 months reserves.
Guys, 18 to 24 months reserves, that's a lot of money in the bank. Okay, yeah, continue on.
A $2 million loan, it just really wasn't working out. So as of today, or as of Monday, we only require 6 to 9 months reserves. That's the same amount that it was during the peak of our origination of this loan.
And more importantly than the 6 to 9 months is this. You can use the cash from the loan that you're borrowing as reserves. Yep. That is basically, you just need this to do a loan now. You hear that? That's a heartbeat. You just need a heartbeat now to do a loan. And a good credit score. You got to have a good credit score to own a house nowadays anyways. Yeah. But you got to have a heartbeat and a good credit score, and you can pretty much get a loan done. And that is huge. That's going to save so many homeowners' butts. Yep. You know, because a lot of people can't qualify for loans for whether it's they don't have the assets, you know, they might not have a high FICO score. You know, the 680 is not a high FICO score. That's a very mediocre score. Are there exceptions on the FICO, like go down to 660 by case by case?
No, we're going to keep it at 680 for a while, I'm sure. You know, we're just rolling this out. I think that's a good point.
It's always been that 680, I believe.
We did. We were at 640 many years ago, but we did raise it to 680. We tried that out. You know, we still have to sell these loans to investors. And, you know, one of the things is we understand that, you know, there's no income, there's no employment documentation. So we'd have to make sure there is other parts of the loan that are a little stronger than others because, you know, you're missing a few important factors. So the collateral and the reserve position and the credit score is very important to us.
Yeah. Guys, this is a huge alternative to, I mean, number one, the LTV is pretty aggressive, right? What's the
70% on a cash out, which is great.
Yeah, 70% and on a purchase.
On a purchase, we're at 75. We were at 80 when it went away, but we're at 75 right now. Let's see how how much we're originating and how we're able to sell this in the market over the next few months. And we could make some tweaks to make it even easier. And
I'm sure you guys are always adjusting. And
when we launched this in 2019, it launched at only 65 LTV, and then we continuously improved it over the
fact that we're at 70. Cash out right now, using cash out as reserves is an absolute game changer. Yep. An absolute game changer. And we should see a huge uptick. I know the people here in the office are like, make sure Tan comes and talks to us a little bit about it. And everyone's really excited. I'm sure all the listeners right now are like, what did I just hear? Did I just hear a no documentation loan where I can use the cash from the loan as assets? I really don't need assets. Yeah. Like I could just use the cash as assets. I mean, this is a game changer. I know personally, like I'm always getting clients myself that like don't fit normal conventional buckets.
I've quite a few over the last few years. Yeah. Yourself.
I know. I love that product. Yeah. I've originated a ton of them.
Yeah.
A ton of them. I would only use 2 investors, and you were one of them. So no, actually I'll take that back. For the really low FICO stuff, I had to use another investor, like an EPM or SunWest or something. But yeah, this is a big move for the industry. I think for us at eMortgage Capital, it's going to be a huge game changer for the folks that are always trying to originate business. So I'm going to slowly make the rounds with some of our leadership here for to make sure that they're trained up on this product, that they could train their team on this product. Obviously, listen to this podcast. But we'll kind of go through the rest of these last questions here, and make sure that people get to know you a little bit better. Mortgages being tricky because non-QM is tricky. Mm-hmm. And I learned a little bit about the waterfall test myself on this podcast. But how do you make mortgages easy for people?
So that's a great question as well. That is one of my biggest things that I have for my entire team, my account managers, my assistants, our underwriters. I want to make sure that the process of submitting and getting a loan approved with us and going all the way to docs is easy. And it's all about just making the experience pleasant. It's not always pleasant, and especially in non-QM. So as a former retail loan officer, both in consumer direct and in a regular bank branch, getting an approval was sometimes a little scary because you look at it. First of all, it could be 2 pages, maybe 3 pages, and seeing these conditions that you have a feeling that you're not going to be able to meet is the worst feeling in the world. And so I never want one of your loan officers here at EMC to feel like that. To get an approval, instead of being excited, you're nervous about getting an approval from Change. And that is something that pisses me off if that ever happens. If you have a loan officer, if a loan officer at EMC is scared of dealing with Change, that means I'm failing and my team is failing. So I've done a fairly good job over the last few years of making sure that an approval doesn't go out without me taking a look at it. And sometimes an underwriter will make a mistake, or maybe they might overcondition on something, or they think they see something that's really not there. Whatever it might be, I make sure that never enters your realm or your loan officer's realm without me trying to fix it, or at least communicating what it is that's the issue. So making it easy isn't always quick, but it's making it stress-free, making it less scary. Especially with deals are very far and few in between today, so every deal counts. And when they count that much,
they were, but with this new rollout,
I know,
but new rollout is going to get it's not going to make deals very few and far between. It's going to make them they're all between now.
I just want to make it stress free. That's
all we want, because the thing about non-QM and the biggest apprehension that people have, it's like, oh, it's a non-QM. I got to go through hell to get this deal done.
Yeah.
And we just want it to be easy.
Yeah.
Loan officers just want to churn and burn through these deals as quick as possible because, time is money, right? Mm-hmm. So they want to make sure that this is an easy process. It's executed quickly. It's efficient. There's not a lot of back and forth. It's not over-conditioned. Mm-hmm. And I love that you have that hands-on approach to review the conditional approval to make it like...
I don't care if I have 100 or 200 loans in my pipeline. Everything has to go through me or somebody that's just like me on my team.
I'm going to hold you to that.
I will, yeah.
I'm hold you to that because you're about to have a couple hundred loans in your pipeline again, and it's like things are going to change this year with that product because we've all been anxiously waiting for the reintroduction of that program. And I know when we lost it back in last year, it was like devastating for us. It was devastating for us. So, just even giving people the hope that this product is real and it's back is like, it's a game changer. It's a game changer. Now, what do you think the future holds for the non-QM space?
I see tremendous growth this time, and I think I almost said something about this earlier in the conversation, that this reminds me of 2019 again. I know that's not a long time ago, but it is. It's not 5 years ago.
In the non-QM space, that's like a lifetime ago.
Yeah. So I see a lot of movement happening. I see a lot of investors trying to figure out what's going to happen with this election coming up. Once I think that's set in place, I think a lot of people are going to kind of relax themselves a little bit, and they're able to understand what's going to happen over the next 4 years somewhat. And once we're able to get a clear indication of what these loans are worth, that's the most important thing for us. Then we can price these properly and maybe start beginning to lower rates on some of these products. And a lot of it is, in the Fed's hands as well. But I see nothing but growth. We did lose a lot over the last 2 years. I don't know if we're going to get back to where we were in 2021 and the beginning of 22, but I think it's going to be pretty darn close.
When do you think we'll know what these loans are worth?
I would say probably by the end of the third quarter, fourth quarter of this year.
We're going to have to wait till end of fourth quarter or beginning of fourth quarter?
Beginning of fourth quarter, probably, yeah.
What do you think some of the biggest challenges were for Change building its portfolio initially?
I would say the tremendous growth affected us. So we had a very hard time hiring. I mean, it came down to bodies on the floor really at one point for us. We could not hire fast enough. I don't think that's going to be what we're going to go after this time. I think we want to do a little more organic growth currently, which I think is fine. We've already done that rapid expansion once, and it was fun, but at the same time, it was very taxing on everybody in all of our internal systems. So this time, I think it's going to be organic growth. And that was the hardest part, was being able to hire enough underwriters. We were hiring contract underwriters in Florida that really weren't here in-house, that had the same kind of followed the same rules that we did. They're kind of lone wolves out there. So it was a little harder. Some brokers had to deal with an underwriter that was, 1,800 miles away. So that wasn't cool. This time, I think we're gonna be a little more organic with the way we roll out everything and the way we grow.
What do you guys think you're anticipating for the growth with this new rollout? Like, how much do you think it's going to change the business?
I think we want to be double what we're doing today within the next 90 days. I mean, that is our projection. We have to, by this summer, we want to be back to a $3 to $4 billion originating non-QM lender.
Yeah, we need to be a couple $100 million of that ourselves here at EMC, and I think we're good for it.
I mean, you are too.
Because the fact is that this is a product that every single person that's on the phone on the other line can pretty much almost get.
Yeah.
So the churn downs for us are going to be turning into money now.
Yeah.
And we're going to do our very best to educate, because I think the biggest problem we had with Change as a whole is just the lack of education and the lack of awareness about this product. Because if you told 900 loan officers that all their clients who don't have any income can get a loan, they're gonna be like, well, hold on, explain that to me. Like, wait, re-explain that to me. Because a lot of people weren't around for the SEVA days, or they didn't understand any of that. All people know for the most part in the mortgage industry is just tax returns, W-2s, your conventional FHA, VA buyer. They don't know a no-income buyer.
And that does fall on me and us, you in leadership, that, before the next refi boom starts knocking its door on us, we should be able to educate everybody on what is out there, so they're ready for the boom as well, because if they're
boom could be coming.
Yeah.
As soon as they say rate cut.
Yep.
And
you don't even need that much of a rate cut to.
No, they just need to say rate cut.
Yeah.
They just need to say a rate cut is coming. Just kidding, it's not coming.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, because they're just saying there is no rate cut coming.
Yeah.
But once they start to reintroduce the thought of a rate cut again, like rates are going to go down. Like they're now saying they're backing off and they're not no rate increases again this year.
Yeah, maybe something in October. There's this carrot that they're dangling.
Yeah, they keep dangling it. And they had another Fed speaker today saying, we might have a rate cut still this year. Maybe it'll sit tight. We'll see. We don't know. No one knows. But as soon as we do get a rate cut, it's game on. It's game on. So I like to end these podcasts with a couple last questions, and they're personal questions. The first one is this. It's a 3-pronged question. What is a personal goal that you have for yourself? What's a goal that you have for the family? What's a goal that you have for Change?
People that know me already know this, that I have, health-wise, I haven't taken care of myself over the last 2 years, 3 years, give or take. So that's one personal goal that I have, is to completely get back to where I was probably 5 years ago. I don't know if that'll happen exactly, but if I can get close, I'd be very, very happy. Family goal. God, there's so much that you want to, do, but no more kids for me. So that's not something that I need. I just spending more time with my daughter, I guess, as much as I can. That's very important to me. That I would say. How old's
your daughter?
She's 12. She's going to be 13 at the end of this year. Yeah. For Change, I think I have a lot of great partners just like yourself, and I just want to be able to I just want to help you guys grow. That's it. And what you said, that there's not everyone here at EMC knows, what we can do. I want to do a better job of educating everybody. Instead of going out and looking for new brokers to work with me, I already have everyone I want to work with, I think. I think I want to grow the relationships that I already have. And I think that should be my number one goal currently.
And you don't really need to go out and get more brokers, because that's what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
It's like every day we're doing that.
I should send them to you.
Yeah, like every day we're just bringing on new people. So it's cultivating the relationships that you have here and helping them grow, which, even just reminding them of the resources we have here at headquarters. It's
and there's nothing that makes me happier than to see, specific LOs going from, averaging $1 million to $2 million a month to the $5 to $8 million a month. It's so fun to watch that happen to LOs and originators. Yeah.
The best part of, being in a leadership position is just to see other people succeed. Like that's the reason why I exist. That's the whole purpose of why I'm here is just to help others thrive, dominate, grow, continue to achieve heights of success that they never would have thought possible. Now, the last question I have is this. When you're in front of the pearly gates, what do you think God's going to tell you?
No one's ever asked me that.
No one gets asked that question often.
No, I just think that I have the garage opener in my pocket. It'll open, I think, right?
That you ran the race, right? You did. You're here. You're helping.
Yeah.
So
as long as everybody else I've come across in my life says the same thing, then that's what matters the most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are, and it shows, and we appreciate you, and we love you, and we hope that change dominates, guys. The new change program is a game changer. This is going to escalate everybody's revenue, probably 20-25%. You should see a 20-25% in your revenue this year as a result of this one program. I think some people who are going to specialize in this, obviously to market it online or just drive SEO traffic around it, or ads around it, are going to obviously just catapult. So we'll start to introduce some more marketing strategies for our folks around this one product. And thank you so much for being on the show today, Tan. We appreciate you. We appreciate the relationship. God bless you, your family, and I hope you hit every single one of those goals.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks, everybody.